Hi, it's Stephen here from Son of an Ocean Wave, and this is day 19 of the September Daily Draws. So as we close out the week and approach the weekend, let's see what message we get. And I'll be taking the first card from the Mystic Palette Tarot Mutual Edition, followed by an Oracle card from the Seasons of the Witch Mabon Oracle. So let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. Okay, here we go. We have the Devil card. So this is about things that maybe habits, situations and people that are not so helpful in our lives that we may need to break away from. Interesting that we have the apple here and the snake with the devil. What else have we got? You know, the traditional story of Adam and Eve with the apple, the temptation, the manipulation into doing something that we know we shouldn't do, that kind of energy. Interesting, we have the apple coming up to Mabon, which yesterday when we had the autumn equinox, a bit difficult to say that, is autumn equinox card in the oracle card pick yesterday, and I said, and it was about balance and everything, which is a little bit relevant here as well. And I was saying that that's coming up. I've looked it up, and it's on Monday, and that's the autumn equinox. It's the Mabon. It's about balance, equal night and day, similar to the spring equinox, and so, and keeping things in the right balance and not being excessive in one or the other is related to this card, because when things get out of balance, that's when things can be unhelpful. That's when we get into excess, doing things too much. Sometimes you can have too much of a good thing, and that can be more harmful than good sometimes. So we need to keep things balanced in proportion as they should be. It's interesting because this is card 15. Before that, we have 14, obviously, which is the Temperance card, which is about keeping the right flow, keeping the right, but again, the right balance, the right things in the right proportion, not getting in moderation and not excess. If you don't do the Temperance part, this can lead to the excess, the things out of balance, and it becomes unhelpful. And if this persists too much and grows, then it follows on to the next card, which is the Tower, and things can fall apart. And of course, then the Star comes afterwards, where we have the positive energy to heal and rebuild, and perhaps rebuild more wisely. But we have an opportunity to deal with it now before it gets to that stage, by dealing with things that, if we have habits that don't, that we're doing things that we perhaps, maybe do we not get enough sleep? Is that going to affect our health? Have we got a balanced work and leisure sort of time, which was what we discussed yesterday a little with the Queen of Wands when we had the Automatic Next card with the Queen of Wands. It's all right to have that passion and the drive to get things done, and to develop your vision and keep moving forward. But there's also times when you need to relax and recharge. So you need that balance there, because if you go too much, if you have too much rest, you don't get anything done, and things that need to be done don't get done, and that can have consequences. And if you do too much and you don't rest, you burn out and lose your energy and motivation. And then when you lose your motivation, you can quit, you're unable to continue in the same way, and what you're trying to achieve is at least delayed. It doesn't get done when you want it to get done. So there were consequences to that. So, and this, to me, the devil is here to say this is the consequence if you go too far one way or the other. This is if you and also where people are concerned, do we have people in our lives that get us to do things through manipulation, through whatever sort of guise that may come in? Have we learnt to set boundaries, or do we find ourselves saying yes when we really should be saying no, but we don't know how to? We don't feel we have the power to say no. We don't have the ability to say no. And when that happens, if you feel, and it's something I've learned, if you feel that you haven't got the ability to say no, then there is a dynamic in that relationship or transaction, whatever, where you are being put at the bottom. You've lost your power. You've lost your sense of self autonomy in that. Someone's taken that from you and made you feel that you can't say no. And that's tied to the devil card too. So if someone makes you feel that you can't say no, I mean, I'm not saying that if you're at work and your boss tells you to do something, obviously you're expected to do it, because it's, particularly if it's related to your job, you're expected to do that. I don't mean that kind of thing. Although if he goes too abusive in that, then you have a right to say, that's not in my contract, that's not whatever. But we're not going to talk about those situations. It's more in the interpersonal relationships, sort of like, you're forced to, do something for someone, or go somewhere when you don't really want to go somewhere. Or you're too tired to go somewhere, but you don't feel as if you can refuse an invitation. You have to be careful of that, because if you're tired and you need to rest, that's what you need. You don't need to be doing anything else, no matter what anybody says. You just say, no, I can't, I'm too tired, I need to rest. Because, as I say, if you don't, it drains your energy and it burns you out, and it loses your ability then to function properly. And this is what the devil card is warning us about. So we need to set boundaries. We need to keep things in balance in order to remain free, to be in the driving seat of our own life journey, to do what we need to do, and not surrender that to anything or anyone else. Okay, so let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. Okay, here we go. Apothecary cabinet. That is like all the herbs and everything that someone needs. They're there in the cabinet, there. But without practice, without befriending them, they are strangers on your path. So that's the other thing as well. If we don't use the skills and the tools that we have, we don't use ourselves to do what we need to be doing, then and we only improve in those by getting to know our tools and our abilities and the things we're good at. We only get good at by doing. And anything that prevents us from doing that should be resisted, So that, in a sense, is Be who you're meant to be. You do what you're meant to, what is useful to you, and do the things that will help you get more used to the things that, befriend them, get to know them, that are going to help you grow and be more efficient and more effective. And don't let anyone take that from you. But don't let anyone convince you to keep those, put you down and keep those things in the cabinet locked away. No, you need to get them out and use them. And that is the message of the cards today. So that's today's message. I'll be back tomorrow to start the weekend with day 20. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye bye.